He reappears today and is going after Bondi on a similar theme we heard with Pete yesterday, which is Trump is lawless and will be asking everybody in the cabinet to be lawless with him. And will you be the bulwark against him? They went after Pete for that. And now here's Blumenthal going after Pam Bondi, our next potential attorney general, with the same line of questioning in SOT 37.
Can you say no to the President of the United States when he asks you to do something unethical or illegal?
Senator, first, I need to clarify something that you said, that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability and honestly.
Let me ask you.
Pretty good. What did you think of it?
The subtext or reductionist truth behind that is I have 53 senators and you don't. So I can say whatever I want, and nobody's going to be stupid after what Merrick Garland said and did the last 4 years with lawfare, and he got confirmed by some Republicans. And anybody who objects and agrees with you is going to get primaried, and they know it, and they're not going to vote anywhere near you. And I'm home free, and I can say whatever I want to you. How do you like that? That's what it was. And she's absolutely right. She's not going to play that game, and she should have, I think they're going to get even more emboldened as these go on, because I think the Republican wavering people, there's 2 or 3 of them, are going to look at this and they're going to say, man, I cannot be allied with these nuts. That is political suicide. If I have reservations about Hegseth or I cannot say anything because these people are crazy and I've got to stick with my team. So I think they're all going to get confirmed, and that's going to embolden all of them to go back on the attack like Bondi did and Pete did. So I expect that they'll go after Kash. When they get to Kash Patel, and I know Kash pretty well, it's going to be a lot of fireworks. So I don't think he's going to sit up there and take that.
So he came up in this exchange. I think they were talking about him in a couple of these. All right, so first, there's Senator Whitehouse, who tried to go after on whether it's appropriate for prosecutors to start with a name and look for a crime. And then I'll show you Mazie Hirono, who was like, she was definitely talking about Kash Patel, but watch this with Senator Whitehouse.
It would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation.
Victor, I'm just sorry, but isn't it right? Isn't it so great to hear a nominee who's 2 steps ahead of them? Like, I see what you're trying to do, and screw you because you're the ones who did this.
Yeah, it is. And I agree with you. But, I kind of grew up with watching J. William Fulbright and all those guys and Frank Church. I didn't agree with them politically, but these are dunces compared to those guys, those old Democratic stalwart guys that were young during the Truman era, and they came into their own in the 60s and 70s. They were kind of misguided, but they were well-spoken. They were logical. They were professionals. These people are just, I don't know what's happened to the Democratic Party. I don't know if this older generation was suspect to begin with, or when the party was hijacked by the woke people, they had to make the necessary adjustments. But they are an embarrassing lot. They really are. And I mean, to say what he did about finding that old Soviet Berea, give me the man and I'll find you the crime. That's what he was alluding to after what Merrick Garland did without no one. The thing about Merrick Garland, his delegate. This was all courted. We know that about Fannie Willis and Bragg and Letitia James and Smith. But in every one of those cases, there was one truism that Donald Trump, if he had said he was not going to run for re-election, none of them would have indicted him, and they will never indict anybody else for those crimes. They're non-existent crimes. They will vanish and evaporate into the atmosphere. No politician will ever be charged with saying that his real estate is somewhat more than they think it is, and therefore he got a loan which he paid back with interest on time to the profit and satisfaction of the lender, and nobody's ever going to be prosecuted for that again. They know it. So she was really good. I thought she was excellent, and I think they're all going to follow the cue of Bondi and Pete Hegseth. I mean, they set the establishment how to deal with these people, their children, and I think they're going to be treated as such.
I think that's right. Be aggressive. Like, you don't need their votes. Like you said, I have 53 senators and you don't. Be aggressive and stop letting them try to control the narrative about Trump in a way that's trying to sink him before he even gets started in the eyes of the American people. Trump or his nominees. This one was White House again, and this is clearly about Kash Patel because you'll hear Bondi reference Kash in her answer, SOP 40.
Senator, to cut to the chase, you're clearly talking about Kash Patel. I don't believe he has an enemies list. He made a quote on TV, which I have not heard. I saw your sign, or Senator Durbin's sign, about Kash. But I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel Department, Department of Defense. I have known Kash, and I believe that Kash is the right person at this time for this job.
And I'm questioning you right now about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
So you're right, Victor. When he gets in there, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, he knows he has the 53 votes. Thing about Kash is he can say things and he writes things that can be taken out of context. But what they don't, I've known him for about 15 years. He's got a photographic memory. He really does. And he was schooled by Devin Nunes and he's a brilliant guy. And what he's going to do, and I think everybody knows it, he's going to bring back all these guys and women that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that were driven out by the Mueller, Comey, McCabe, Wray regimes when they got sick of the weaponization. So he's going to be surrounded by professional FBI people that were dissidents and wanted to restore the reputation of the FBI. It's going to be restoration. And, the other thing real quickly, Megyn, is that this is all going on when Joe Biden, their president, our president, but especially their hero, is now pardoning 1,500 people. He pardoned his son, and they know what's going to happen, maybe while these confirmations go on, because Biden is running out of time, and we know he's going to try to pardon. I think he'll pardon Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson. I think he'll pardon probably some more Biden family members, and he's made a mockery of that. And then we have the whole incompetency going on in Los Angeles and the whole destruction of LA and the culpable blue state model. And so the backdrops of this hearing is not good for progressivism, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, some of those names you just mentioned came up because Mazie Hirono, is she the dumbest in the Senate? I mean,
that's a hard call.
I await your nominee for a fellow contender. I think she might be number one. She's a Democrat from Hawaii. She started to get into with Bondi whether she's going to prosecute a bunch of different DOJ officials in there under Biden, including Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, or Liz Cheney. Bondi refused to take the bait, saying, I'm not going to answer hypotheticals, and saying, quote, no one has been prejudged and nor will anyone prejudge, which is the right answer, right? It's like, I'm not going to give them a sweeping pass if they've done something and we get in there and we find out. I mean, Liz Cheney's been accused of some serious ethical violations during the course of J6 and the committee hearing. So who knows? So that's how she answered it. And then here's Hirono on Trump's enemies.
You, as Attorney General, should investigate one of his perceived political enemies. Would you do so?
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I am
You could
listening
have
to you
gotten to
now.
know me.
Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very
follow
happy to listen
the
to
law.
your.
So good, right? Given what we heard yesterday, you didn't meet with me, Mr. Hegseth. You didn't meet with me either, or me either. And now you get this woman, she refused to meet with Pam Bondi.
Yeah, I don't know what they thought they were going to be very schooled and prepped, and Schumer had them all in and said this is an occasion for us to make the argument that Trump is satanic and these people are incompetent. But they really didn't research it. Anybody who knew Pete Hegseth or Pam Bondi or met them or knows them or seen them in action, they're very quick on their feet. They're witty, they're smart, and they're perfect. I mean, they're masters of optics. They've been on television. So just the appearance of her and Pete, the way they handled the questions, the way they answered, didn't they understand what they were doing when they asked these stupid questions and they showboated and performanced art? When Pete, I'm not a general, Senator. Didn't they understand that these people were far more capable in that venue than they were? But it's just that they're in an echo chamber and they're so arrogant, but they're ossified, calcified hacks, and they don't understand it. And they're up against a new generation of really smart people who have mastered the medium of television and impromptu repartee, and they just had them for dinner.
Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. And gold can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. No obligation, just information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold today. Text MK to the number 989898 to figure out your diversification options today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.